Hey, just wanted to give you a quick update. So my last video, I showed you how I came up with a RPM calculation. I said something about it. I stole it off of off the hoverboard circuit board, and basically what that looks like, man, is this circuit board was a part of the actual hoverboard. As you can see here, there's a lot of stuff going on. But while I was disassembling everything to get the motor off itself, or the wheels off, I recognized that this sensor was there. Well, I knew exactly what this sensor was. I didn't know exactly what it was used for in the hoverboard, or how it was being used, circuit-wise. But I knew I needed to keep it, so I kept this circuit board. There was two of them, four sensors total. Uh, Honestly, just kind of ruined two of them because I was while I was trying to figure out how they worked, I blew up the LEDs inside of them that actually generate the infrared light. So basically, what I did was I took a pair of snips, cut it down, cut out that square, and you can kind of see it here. Just took just the circuitry, left some resistors on there, wired it up the way I needed to, and hooked it up to my Raspberry Pi. And so what I've got here in my setup today, and what I'm going to show you is, basically I got my my sensor, my infrared sensor. I just fabricated this up. It's a little different, but basically you haven't seen this yet. I just 3D printed this little self-centering bracket, so that way my drive shaft is always in the center. I put some tapers on here, and then basically after I set it on there, I was able to drill and tap some holes and was able to create a little bracket so that that way I was center of this cylinder rather than just kind of guessing. Honestly, since I don't have any machine tools or a lathe here to help me, it was very crucial that I come up with some way of being centered. That way I wasn't all wobbly all the time. So I printed this today, and then just now I just added this little flag that as it passes through, or as it spins, it will pass through the center of this sensor. Uh, you know, Basically allowing us to catalog the. Sorry about that. Basically, allowing us to flag that sensor every single rotation of the motor. So the first thing I'm going to do before I forget, my whole point of this is to see, at a reasonable RPM, and what I'm calling reasonable RPM, I'm looking for about 12 volts of charge out of my rectifier. I'm looking for about 12 volts, and ultimately, what RPM is that coming in at? As I saw it said in the last video, my drill is capable of 1700 RPMs, or at least it says so. We measured it at 16-ish. So if it's 16-ish RPM, 1600 RPMs, and then you've got that generating what we measured at about 55 volts, that means that significantly less RPMs may generate the voltage we want, and so that would be ideal. So, but ultimately, there's really no better way to do it than just put a multimeter on here and find out. So I'm gonna hook my multimeter up. I got some clamps here to hold that on there better. Alrighty. So we are generating electricity. All right, cool. So then the second part of this is actually being able to tell what RPMs we're going for here, or what we're actually performing at, rather. And so if we know voltage with our multimeter, we've got the sensor, we've got the Pi, now we've got the iPad. This is basically using a console over the web interface, or the Wi-Fi and the web interface, to be able to run console over the Pi. So it should be pretty cool. Should work out pretty well. So I'm just gonna run my program here that I created, and let's see. This should start doing something. All right, we have takeoff. So it's running what we saw before, same program, just a little bit different font color. So let's see. I'll call, since I don't have two cameras, I'm gonna call out the voltage for you as we start getting RPM. So it looks like let's just try and go slow. Oh, battery alarm. So I've got about 200 RPM. At about 200, keep it at a constant speed here. We'll call that 200. I'm at about 7 volts. Alright. Try and pick that bad boy up just a little bit. So that's about we'll call that 220 at 9 volts. If I go up here to, let's just go to 300. About 300 there. Okay, about 300. I'm actually at 12.1 volts. That's exciting. So yeah, let's just see if I get up to about 400. If I can get to 400, what does that look like? 417 volts. Wow, that's cool. So let me switch the camera around here, and then I'll do the exact same thing, but let you see it in the multimeter side. Get the set up straight. Alright. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? So you can kind of see everything at once. I'll hold you there. Perfect. Alrighty. So I'm gonna be watching now. I'm gonna be watching the RPM screen, and you can see a really slow RPM. That's just that little flag just passing through that sensor, just ever so slightly. Or just, it's got plenty of clearance. It doesn't have to touch anything. It's just passes through the center of that, and voila, I get a signal and it goes. So, alright, I got a little bit of a click here. My chuck was coming loose, it sounds like. Right, let's see here. Alright. Reattach. Alright, so let's get us up to about 300 RPM. We're a little above 300. Above 300 there. Hard to dial in exactly. About 300 right there. 300 RPMs, you're seeing 12.1, 12.2 volts there. So if we bump that bad boy up to 400. We're at 400 now. 400, that is 17 volts. That is awesome. So yeah, that's super exciting. Just quick math off the top of my head, 14 or 400 RPMs. That's not terribly fast. I don't believe that's terribly fast for a wind turbine or even a hydroelectric generator to be producing. I think that's going to be obtainable, and so that's super cool. So let's just keep pushing forward. Next step is I think the next step is to actually create some type of generator, or not a generator, hydro tunnel, if you will, so I can start dropping that over and see what happens. If you yeah, it's either gonna be awesome or not, and we'll make it awesome either way. So let's just keep moving forward.